Hello world, Shelly here, and it's time for your Friday foundation fix, where you can get your fix of foundation reviews in between foundation fests. Today I'm going to check out the new release from Dior. It is the Backstage Face and Body Foundation. Retails for $40. You get 1.6 fluid ounces of product. So if you were to convert that to the typical standard 1 fluid ounce, that's $25 for an ounce of product. I understand why they put more product in here. This is intended to be used, both on your face and to cover imperfections elsewhere on your body. So it makes sense that you would need more product, but holy cow, that is a really nice price point for a Dior foundation. Like, that's in the ballpark of like the Too Faced Peach Perfect. Like, that's a good price point for this much product. You can get this in 40 different shades. They are very nicely labeled in terms of a variety of undertones. And I'm on Sephora's website right now. It's got 339 reviews. It's currently getting a 4.4 out of 5-star rating. This is a natural matte finish with medium coverage. It is supposed to be waterproof and sweat-proof, resisting extreme conditions like workout sessions, water, and high temperatures and humid environments. Can be used to camouflage minor imperfections on the neck, shoulders, legs, or any place else. Natural finish, lightweight texture, reveals skin's radiance, yada yada. Sounds pretty good. Now, Dior is not a cruelty-free brand. In fact, I couldn't find any kind of cruelty-free statement on their website. What I've found across the internet is that they sell in China. Therefore, by law, China requires that you test on animals in order to sell in China. But I couldn't even find a statement that says we don't test on animals in the US. So definitely not a cruelty-free brand, I would say, regardless of how you define cruelty-free. But let's get into this, shall we? Let's take a look at some swatches. I strategically timed my placement of the order. I bought 1.5 neutral as the shade that I thought would match me the best as a summer shade, but then I also timed it with a Sephora purchase to get 2 samples. So I've also got 1.0 neutral and 2 neutral to swatch for you guys. So let me show you guys what these swatches look like and compare it to some other foundations in my collection. Swatch time. I've got one warm toned foundation here. Can you guys guess which one it is? So the first 3 swatches are all the Dior Backstage. I've got shade 1.0 neutral, 1.5 neutral, and 2 neutral. Then I've got the Laura Geller filter first in shade buff. Then the warm tone, the Lancome Renergy Lift in shade 250 Bisque Warm. That is the one yellow undertone we've got going on here. Then I've got Max Studio Sculpt in shade NW15. And last is Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place in 1C1 Cool Bone. I've already cleansed, moisturized, and sunscreened my face. I am starting out with a 43-year-old mug here. I've got some sun damage that I like to cover up. I do have fine lines, especially deeper smile lines. I've got some forehead lines, and I do have enlarged pores that like to give me trouble with foundation on my chin, especially on my cheeks, and I have a little bit of texture in between my eyebrows that tends to give me trouble with foundation. So those are the things I'm trying to mask and smooth out with my foundation. I have primed with the ThaTaylaa Silk Canvas. Isn't this the prettiest? And it's the prettiest. Like, it's so pretty. I will go in on one half of my face with a sponge. This is the Eco Tools Total Perfecting Blender, which I finally reclaimed from my cats who stole it. And the other side I will use a brush. This is my e.l.f. How do I forget the name of the brush? Ultimate Blending Brush. I'm telling you, these sinus drugs, oh, that's going to be my challenge for today. So I feel much better, but I still have the remnants of a sinus infection going on. I am going to try my doggonedest not to blow my nose. I can't make any promises, but, well, we'll see how the foundation holds up if I do have to blow my nose. I'm also at that time of the year where I don't know what freaking color I am. I had some sun. I have not done self-tanner in a couple weeks, so whatever sun I had is fading. Please ignore my rash. I wore a necklace that had nickel in it because I prioritize fashion over my own health and safety, and got a rash because I'm allergic to nickel. Don't be like me. And so I don't know what color I am. My forearms still have a little color. My upper arms have basically no color. I do not self-tan my face, so that's as pale as can be. I don't know. So this is probably going to be too dark for me because I picked it thinking it was my summer shade, but I've let myself go pale. I also want to point out that the shades, the zero shades, there's a whole nother set of different undertone shades at the 0 range in Dior. So this is not the lightest by any stretch. But this looks in real life far darker than it looked on the website with the swatches online. So it's darker. I probably should have gotten in the 0 range, especially if I want to wear this in the winter, but I do figure it's easier to lighten a foundation than it is to darken one in my world. So, oh, it's already coming out. We have a squeeze bottle. Whoa, it's very excited. Very excited. So moderately thick formula. Not dripping too much here. I don't want to waste any of it, so I'm going to take what's on here and put it on my face. It's got some fragrance to it. Pretty light coverage with the sponge, but a very natural kind of finish. I can still see all my freckles and sunspots kind of poking through, but it has definitely evened out redness a bit, and it's a really nice skin-like finish. Like, it's kind of blurring my texture, and this is the worst side of my face in terms of texture. It's blurring it nicely, but it still looks like my skin. So that is a nice start. What is on my eye here? Let's try the brush side. I think it's going to be personal preference as to whether you go with a brush or a sponge. I think the coverage is just about the same either way. I kind of like the finish of the sponge just a little bit more. I think I want a little bit more coverage, especially on my cheeks. I see the redness coming through here, and so I'm just going to do a tiny bit more product. It's only supposed to get to medium coverage anyway, so it's not supposed to be super full coverage, but I just want a little bit more, and I'm going to blend it out with a sponge and see how that goes. The thickness when I squeeze this out onto the palette is deceptive because this feels water light. It feels like almost nothing on the skin, super lightweight. I've got pretty significant dry patches going on around my nostrils because of this sinus infection I've been having for the past week or so, and I am phenomenally impressed with how little I can see of those dry patches. It really did smooth them over quite nicely. I would say the coverage is definitely light to light medium. I don't even think I would say it's full medium coverage, but it's definitely a nice coverage in terms of, you know, evening everything out, blurring out what needs to be blurred. I think it's blurring texture beautifully. It's doing a little bit of blurring of pores. I can still see some of my pores around my cheeks, but I did not use a pore filling primer specifically. So that probably could be minimized a little bit more if I went in on those areas. But overall, I think this looks really nice right out of the gate. I'm not having any trouble with clinging to dry patches. In fact, most of my dry patches are barely visible. This looks really pretty nice. And I would say the color, if it doesn't oxidize, is actually not bad for where I'm at right now. So far so good. Let's check the time. It is 2 o'clock on the nose. Has that ever happened in a review? Let's call it 2 o'clock. I'm gonna go put the rest of my makeup on and I will be right back. Alrighty, so far so good. I had no trouble blending product onto this foundation. I did set it very lightly with the Charlotte Tilbury. Why did I say that so strangely? The Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder, and the concealer that I used today is kind of becoming a new favorite. It's the Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. I have this in the shade Snow, which is, of course, and you can even tell against this foundation, too yellow toned. Why are there no cool toned anythings in the Too Faced Born This Way line? I will never know, at least not at the fair end of the spectrum, there's not, but it is very good coverage. It's almost too much coverage for this foundation, and it doesn't dry out my under eye the way Shape Tape does, which I love Shape Tape, but it makes my under eye look crepey by the end of the day, and this does not. So this is quickly becoming my new favorite. No trouble blending. Blush, bronzer, highlight, everything blended fine. No settling into lines at this point. I don't think there's been any oxidation at this point. It is super comfortable and I'm impressed. I'm very impressed right now. I'm very happy with how this looks. I wish it had a smidge more coverage. I like to cover up most of the things that are on my face, the redness, the sunspots. But for the cover, it's not claiming to be full coverage, so I can't ding it for that. It's pretty much exactly the coverage it stated, which is, I would say, medium on the light end of the medium side. I feel like there's like a little bit of redness on my chin that still pokes through, but it's not claiming full coverage, so I need to just get off that horse. Get off that horse. Otherwise, on my mug, my bronzer is the Balm Desert. My blush is the Becca blush in Flower Child. Highlight is Becca in Opal. And my eyes, I'm trying out for the very first time the Morphe Jaclyn Hill. This is the one with all of the purples in it. What is it called? There it is. Bling Boss. I was like, I think it has something to do with bling. Bling Boss. I used almost every color. The only one I didn't use is that purple shade that everyone on the planet has already used. And I like it. I think it is not quite as good as the original Morphe Jaclyn Hill formula. I feel like the shadows are a little bit more hard pressed and they're a little bit harder to get out of the pan. They still blended very well with the exception of, what's the name of this one? Muse was a little bit patchy, but it did end up blending out fine once I worked with it a bit. Yeah, thumbs up. I thought this was just fine. It's right in my wheelhouse as far as color scheme goes. I will continue to use it. I think it's definitely worth 15 bucks. And my lip is the new CoverGirl Exhibitionist. I've been dying to try this out. This is in the shade Trending. Am I trending? I don't think I'm trending. But yeah, that's how we're starting out today. Check-in time is 2 o'clock. I'll be back in a few hours with a daylight check-in, and I will come back at the end of the night. We'll take a look, and I'll give you my final thoughts. Hey guys, daylight check-in here. It is 6 o'clock p.m., so we are at the 4-hour mark, and I just got a good look at this foundation in the mirror, and it looks gorgeous. There's no settling into lines at this point, not even my chin lines, which is pretty phenomenal. It's just a really nice matte finish that is not flat at all. In fact, I think it looks very skin-like, and it's just looking really nice so far. I think the color match in daylight is good, and I'm impressed. I'm very happy with this foundation so far. Let's see how close I can get you guys. And I'm going to see if I can lean into the sun and you can see what it looks like in bright sunlight. Pretty good, right? So that's where we're at the 4-hour mark. I'll be back tonight with my final thoughts. Oh, there's a rainbow. We're back. Time check. Well, you can't see that now, can you? We're back. Time check, 11:49 p.m. That puts us at just 11 minutes shy of the 10-hour mark. And look who's back. It's Ziva. Can I get her to look at the camera? Ziva! Ziva! Oh, she's cut off. I know you guys were missing the cat cameos, so I rearranged, and now they can jump up. They have their little shelf again, and Ziva's the most frequent flyer here, so yes. But let's talk about this foundation, shall we? This has held up phenomenally well, in my humble opinion. I have a little bit of product worn off of my chin where I dripped dressing when I had a sandwich this afternoon, but blush, bronzer, highlight is phenomenally well intact, super comfortable, feels like nothing kind of a foundation. Does not feel drying at all. I'm not having any trouble with my crow's feet lines showing up. They basically don't show up unless my skin is really dehydrated. So my skin has not lost moisture throughout the day. So I think it has not been drying. It feels super comfortable. Let's zoom in and get a close-up look. So I would say again, on my chin I've lost a little coverage, but part of that is user error because I had a sandwich and dripped all over my mouth. I had absolutely no settling into lines. Even almost nothing settled into my chin lines, which is pretty doggone amazing. Nothing in my smile lines. I did not blow my nose today. I am having just the usual little bit of wear off of product around my nostrils, but it's really not bad at all. Considering the dry patches that I have going on, it's pretty amazing that they're not being accentuated. I think the blurring of pores is even better now than it was when I first applied it, as the foundation kind of settled into the skin. It definitely improved the blurring, even though it was blurring a little bit to begin with. The only place I'm seeing anything is a little texture between my eyebrows, but my forehead looks fine. I don't have anything settling into those fine lines. I gotta tell you, this looks really, really, really nice. It has a fantastic shade range. I think it lives up to its claims of being a natural matte finish. It's longer wearing than I expected, considering they don't really claim long wear in their, product description. It's not settling into lines. It seems to be wonderfully fine for dry skin. What else is there? I mean, my grading system is based on how it performs for maturing skin and how it performs for dry skin. I have no complaints whatsoever. I can't even think of anything better. Now I know that I'm going to purchase this in my winter shade because I am going to wear a ton of this foundation. This stuff, kind of like gold. I'm a big fan. I really, really like this foundation. So if I had to give a grade to the Dior Backstage Face and Body Foundation on dry and maturing skin, I'm giving it a straight up A. I have no suggestions for improvement except maybe put a pump on it. I prefer pumps. Squeezy tube's okay. It's better than doe foot. But yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. So we are going A for the Dior Backstage Foundation. You can always check my website, geekoutofwater.com. Click the Foundation Fest link. I've got a spreadsheet with over 100 foundation reviews listed. And if you scroll that thing to the side, it's got data on everything. Does it settle into lines? Does it oxidize? How much is it? How many ounces? Is it hydrating? Is it smoothing? Does it blur pores? Does it blur texture? So much stuff in that spreadsheet. Go check it out. I will have this one listed on there soon if it's not already. And what foundation would you like me to check out? Let me know down in the comments below. If you guys like foundation reviews, give me a thumbs up so I know to keep on making them. I've got lots of foundations in my bin. I am picking up even more at the Sephora VIB sale. If you missed my recommendations for that sale, which for VIB Rouge starts now, and for the rest of the VIB and Beauty Insiders starts on August 30th, check out my previous video from Wednesday. I will link it here if you missed it. And that's about all the dotting the I's and crossing the T's that I got for you guys. As always, thanks a lot for taking some time out of your day to geek out over makeup with me. I appreciate it, and I hope you guys all have an awesome day or night wherever you are in the world. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.